Today's collectibles spot, we're having a look at the Sideshow Collectibles, Sideshow Edition, Superman 3, the Evil version, 1/6 scale collectible figure. A slight retooling and really a slight repaint to the original released Christopher Reeve Superman Hot Toys figure. This comes to us from Superman 3, and though many people probably consider Superman 3 to be one of the worst, I still think Superman 4 Quest for Peace is far worse than Superman 3. I liked Superman 3 really leading up to the final scene where Superman is battling the evil computer. But one of my favorite scenes, certainly from Superman 3, is where the evil Superman, or quasi-evil Superman, turns and ends up fighting himself, Clark Kent, Superman. And that, for me, defines that movie. And that's still one scene that really stands out for me. When I found out that there was going to be a Sideshow edition of the evil Superman, and really it's not so much an evil Superman, it's just a Superman that cares a lot less than that of the original Superman. But certainly when they were going to release a slight repaint of a evil version Superman, definitely this was something I wanted to pick up. Packaging-wise, it's not quite the same as what we got with the Christopher Reeve Superman, because if you remember the Christopher Reeve Superman, he came in the Superman emblem shaped box. I like the box, but it was just always such a big, bulky, cumbersome box. This has just gone back to the more straight, narrow boxes, the rectangular boxes that we're so used to with Hot Toys releases. However, there is a slight difference with this box. You can see that it's darker in coloring. We got the Superman emblem on the front there. And with it, there's a little sleeve at the top here where you can pull it, and moving the camera back down, you can see how it transitions from being the evil, darker costume of Superman to that of the brighter blue costume of the normal Superman. And you see it the most at the end of the battle with Clark Kent, when Clark Kent finally opens up his shirt, and you can see once again that vibrant blue color of his suit. Taking this completely off, we're just going to slide this sleeve off. It's just a black overlaid sleeve. And just put that to the side. And what you can do, you can take this little flap. There's a magnet flap here. We just open it up. And inside is Superman. Now on the side it says, if the world's most powerful computer can control even Superman, no one on Earth is safe. Which is not really necessarily relating to this Superman. I mean, that's the computer and everything is really the end of the movie, and by this point Superman has already gone back to normal. It has nothing really so much to do with this version of Superman. So they could have written something a little bit more, probably more on par with, Superman finally turns dark, or something like that, and ends up having to fight himself and fight his inner demons. Something like that. Not so much, I would say, talking about the powerful computer. At any rate, we just close that flap off. And anything on the back? No, just regular box there. So what I am going to do, having now looked at the box, we're going to get this opened up. I am actually quite excited. We're going to get this opened up. We're going to have a look at the evil Superman. And also Spot's going to show you the original Superman so you guys can see the difference between the two. There's definitely more heading your way, guys, though. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. And before we just have a look at the evil Superman, let's have a look first at the display base, which was up for some sort of controversy, I would say. The display base that comes with the Superman evil version is from what I can tell, a broken up roadway. That's nicely detailed, and it has the shape of the Superman emblem, as you can see there, slightly altered, but still very similar in shape. Nicely detailed, like this, but I can kind of agree with other people that have said, you know what, I don't understand why this particular backdrop, this particular base, was included with this figure. This base would have been ideal for a Hulk. Eventually, if Spot gets his hands on the Dark Knight Rises Bane, I would love to have maybe Bane standing on this display stand. I don't really see this for Superman necessarily. Especially for where this Superman comes out, and fights himself. They could have easily have had it more so like a junkyard scene where we could have had like maybe a half of a car or a quarter of a car just kind of sticking out, and that would be part of the display. They could have also had it where it was part of the compactor, where he's fighting Clark there. That could have been ideal. I love this. I mean, I take nothing away from the display base, but I just don't feel like this display base is an ideal fit for the character that is included with it. A really nice touch, but I don't feel. I wonder why this specific base was the choice that they went with. I mean, there are like little details on here, and I'm just trying to figure out really what some of the details could possibly be. I can, again, make out some lines from the roadway. There's some yellow lines and whatnot, but on the underside just says trademark DC Comics. Now, there is a peg port on the back where you can take the supplied rod that comes with it, and you can have Superman levitating. Very similar to the Fortress of Solitude display piece that came with the original Superman. You can have this rod sitting in the back, and there is also a supplied clamp where you can clamp the figure and have him levitating above this base. Now, again, like for me, I don't know. I just don't see the desire for me to have it displayed, have him levitating, or even just standing on top of this display base. Really nice touch. I just don't feel like it's needed for this figure. This figure could have easily had something else going for it. But once again, he does come with his clamp, a little clamp piece that you can have it clamped to the waist of Superman if you want to have him levitating. But surprisingly, I didn't use it for the other Superman. I probably won't even use it for this Superman either. I would really just prefer to have my Superman standing. But he does come with this. Of course, the requirement, he does come with his 2 additional pegs for if you ever have any issues where pegs break, or sometimes if you're removing hands, and I've had that happen where the hands come out with the pegs. Instead of trying to fight to get the pegs back off the hand and pegged back in, you can just use the swap out 2 additional pegs that they've included. So that's always a nice added piece. I always hold on to those. And lastly, for his accessories, he does come with 4 hands. 2 rights, 2 lefts. Different, whether you want to have him more, the soaring Superman. These are more just like the kind of open, closed, slightly opened hands. Both hands there. I'm not really sure for this particular Superman whether I would have just closed fists or if I'd have more of an open hand. But, I mean, you get options, and I always like options when it comes to Hot Toys pieces that they do come with these extra hands. You never know. One day you might even feel like you want to have Superman levitating. I have the option, at least, that I can do that. I can make use of these hands. So, that brings us then to Superman. Now, the question for me, I asked myself at the time that I picked him up was, is he worth getting a new figure for the fact that he is just a repaint? I mean, he is just a repaint. They haven't, which was another issue that a lot of people had. He's not retooled. His face is the exact same. In fact, we'll put him right there, and we'll bring in the original released Christopher Reeve. You can see that they are the exact same figure, the exact same head. Let me just move the camera up here. Same head, just slightly repainted. They've taken his initial skin complexion, and they've darkened it. They've given him a 5 o'clock or whatever clock shadow that would be for Superman. They've also dingied his hair. His hair doesn't have the slick shine to it that the original Christopher Reeve had. In this case, this Superman has more of a darker coloring. Now, in the movie, it's more like, it's almost where he's got slightly, not gray elements to it, but it's definitely a different coloring. This one has the removed coloring. It's not as dark as the original Superman, but they could have done something, I think, differently with the eyes. Eyes, and especially anything else, the mouth. I mean, his eyes, you know what, I would even say his eyes are fine. If they had just done something different to his eyebrows, had more of just a sunken brow, and a slightly more of a grimace or a frown on his face, it would have been a little nicer. I think it would have been a little bit nicer. Costume-wise, it is the exact same as the Christopher Reeve. Well, there he is once again. Just a change of coloring. Instead of a much more vibrant blue, which we had with the original, and vibrant red in the cape, we got a much darker coloring. The brighter red has now been swapped out with some almost a more of a purpley red in color. He's also got the dingier yellow in the belt, and the dingier red in the boots as well. When you get to the back cape, same idea. It's just a darker red that they've used. And, it's somewhat ironic, too, that the evil Superman, coloring-wise, has the same coloring as the Superman Returns outfit. The Superman Returns outfit was a darker blue, a darker red. Same idea carried over here to Superman. I don't know. See, here's the thing for me. I loved the original Christopher Reeve Superman, and I don't know if I could say this figure warrants a remake. I mean, I feel like they could have done a little bit more to the face. I am happy with it because I like the contrast because he is so different from the Christopher Reeve, at least in coloring. But I wish they had done more with the face. If they had more of a frown or some sort of different expression to Superman, I think it would have been a nicer touch. I kind of knew when I was going into it what to expect because I've already seen pictures of this Superman, and I've already seen reviews of this Superman. So it's certainly not naive of me to have gone in this not knowing what I was to be expecting. I walk away from it still happy with the figure. I just feel like it could have been a little bit more than what it was, even if they had just given him a little bit darker shading in the face. Just to kind of give him some difference between him and the original Christopher Reeve Superman. Now, articulation-wise, he does share the same articulation as the other Christopher Reeve. His head is on a ball joint, so it moves up and down. It moves left, right. His arms are on a pin and socket. They do rotate the bicep. You have to be careful, too, with Hot Toys with some fabric material that you don't want to jerk and move limbs too much. You run the risk of not only pinching the fabric and causing slight tears or little punctures in the suit, but certainly any sort of strain in joints. You put in strain against a joint possibly breaking. The arms are on a hinge, so they also rotate all around. He has an upper torso swivel and crunch. You rotate the waist. The legs, once again, go forward, back, out. Once again, being very careful of the seam that's right around the under-ruse area there of Superman. Rotation at the thigh is a double bend at the knee. And though you can't get much movement, he still has a rotation in the boot and a pivot in the foot. Overall, it would seem as if I'm not happy with the figure, but I am happy with him. I think for me, the biggest thing that's going to be the way that I'm going to distinguish the two is, with Superman, the original Christopher Reeve Superman, I'm going to have him upright, proud. He's going to be, very, very regal and standing upright. Whereas the Superman here, the evil Superman, I really like to keep him more like sunken down, really low, like really crunched over. Kind of like what he was in the movie. Like he's not the upright, strong and noble Superman. He is I want to say almost drunken Superman, even though really he wasn't. He was just drunken with just not liking a lot of things. But for me, though, I mean, the real slight miss is the display base. Even if it's not quite the same Superman we could have gotten and maybe would have wanted in the face, I feel as if the display base could have been better. And could have been something a little bit more, a little more to what the movie should have been, as opposed to just like broken ground, broken rubble. Still, though, very happy with this Superman, and I'm kind of really also hoping too that they can maybe retool the head, give him a business suit, and we can get ourselves a Clark Kent Superman. Then you could have Superman, evil Superman, and Clark Kent nicely paired together. Would I recommend this figure? For a Superman completionist and somebody who really liked Superman 3 and liked the darker tone of this Superman, I would say yes. He could have been better, and I'm not going to glaze over the fact that some changes could have been nicely done differently to this figure other than just changing out coloring. Still, though, I think he is a good figure, and still using a mold that undeniably you can't look at it and not say, oh, well, it's definitely Christopher Reeve. By far, it is Christopher Reeve. Though it's not quite 100% what it could be, I still think this is a good figure. Today's collectible spot, we're having a look at the Sideshow exclusive Superman 3 Evil Superman, or Superman Evil version, depending on how you want to call it. But today we're having a look, though, at Superman the Evil version. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's got more collectible spots, other spots, and you never know, also some Hot Toys figures coming your way as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.